one.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the POPAHOLICS podcast. I am one of your hosts, Franklyn McInnis, and I have the other host here with me, Collecting Plastic. Collecting Plastic, say what's up to the people here.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Okay, so yeah, this is our first episode, and in this episode, we are going to get into what we like to talk about. Partly is Funko Pop collecting and really pop culture in general, but definitely the main thing that we have in common is Funko Pop collecting. So that's going to be a big focus here. I want to kind of kick things off though by Collecting Plastic. Just tell me what's been going on with you.
So, I had a nice morning, a nice little California brunch with a friend. And when I got home, I started clicking around YouTube and I saw one of the most appalling things I have ever seen. Have you heard of Thundercats Roar?
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, so you know Thundercats, right?
Well, yeah, I'm familiar with Thundercats, yeah.
But there's a 2019 series and it's done in like a Steven Universe, kind of like Teen Titans Go style. It is just, it blew my mind. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I thought at first it was like some deviant art parody thing. So I started looking up more, and it's a real thing. Like, I encourage anybody that wants to have their mind blown to go look up Thundercats Roar.
What's crazy is I never got around to the anime, and I saw bits of the animation. It looked really nice. I never got around to that, but yeah, the way you're describing that does not interest me because I am one of those people that when Teen Titans switched to Teen Titans Go, I was kind of like, what is going on here? I mean, I guess it has it kept the audience over time, and now they have that movie. There's a movie that just came out. Now that I think about it,
I like Teen Titans Go. So I'm one of these people that it's not too, I don't have a big aversion to that type of animation and comedy. But this Thundercats Roar is just, dude, you got to watch it. Like after we do this, go watch it. Encourage the audience to go watch it, man. It is insane.
I'll check it out, but who knows? Maybe over time, it's something that'll build an audience. You never know because, I mean, you think about that. I can't remember the name of the series, but it's like with all the Marvel characters, and they were like chibi versions of them. That one was very weird up front, but then it did build the audience over time. So, I mean, you never know. We'll see.
This one's not out yet. It's still just teasers. I guess it was announced like a year ago, and it's still not out, but I guess technically it's still supposed to be coming. So I don't know what the delay is. Maybe the backlash, because the preview for it, the like to dislike ratio, I think they have like 5% likes and 95% dislike. It's bad.
That's pretty bad. That's worse than the whole thing with the latest NBA game, NBA 2K, and the whole gambling thing and all that. I've been following that on YouTube. And I really haven't watched too many videos today though, because I actually was out and I actually went to there's a convention called Power Comic Con in Florence, South Carolina. I've been to it a couple times before, but I thought it was just funny. Like I almost forgot about it. I thought it was funny that I ended up there today, and then I realized, oh, that's what we're focusing on the the podcast. We're talking about the conventions related to Funko for this year. Now, I'm sure a lot of people that are checking this out are Funko Pop collectors, so they're familiar with the major conventions. But if you're not, the main three that Funko has are Emerald City Comic Con. That one is in spring, and it's the smaller convention out of the major three for Funko. But they like that one because that's in their neck of the woods where their headquarters is. And then, of course, there's San Diego Comic Con. I think that one needs no introduction at all. And then there's also New York Comic Con, which is pretty much upon us right now. So what we kind of want to do here is, to compare these different conventions. And I do have pulled up with here, in front of me, the figures that were available for each one of these conventions. So you want to kind of jump back to the beginning of the year, talk about it some with Emerald City Comic Con?
So I'm going to come out and say that I think of the three, Emerald City Comic Con is the weakest one. But like you said, it is the smallest one. But, for the size of convention, they do make a lot of pops, but it's, the weaker little sister compared to the other two.
There's little room for error with it, basically.
Yeah, exactly. There's not a lot of filler, even though I did think there was some filler stuff like the Huey, Dewey, and Louie, I think were very weak. But I think they did have one that was excellent, and I think the Harry Potter 3-pack was, maybe the best release of that con.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. That one actually did pretty well. I think that's not one of the ones I saw warming shelves. Like, believe it or not, like still sometimes when I go like especially to like Barnes and Noble and some other stores, I still see some things sitting around. Like I forget his name, the Harry not Harry Potter, but the Lord of the Rings character. And my
Oh,
pictures, my image is so small I can't see the name on him. But yeah, the Lord of the Rings exclusive for that con. There are still a ton of those sitting in the Barnes
yeah,
and Noble near me.
the orc, right?
Yeah, I believe he's one of the orcs. Yeah,
Yeah, he has a
so
weird name. Like it's bizarre. I can't remember it, but yeah, I remember picking that one up because I like Lord of the Rings and I think it looks good. But they might have made too many of them. Sometimes they make just
mm,
too many.
yeah, and it seems like with shared exclusives that Barnes and Noble always gets way too many of theirs because even they still have their table sitting literally for San Diego Comic Con, and almost everything that
Are
was
you serious?
available is still there in certain numbers. I'm not exaggerating.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's pretty amazing. There were though, I will say with ECCC, there were a couple of winners there. I thought one of the standouts, maybe not the most popular character, but I thought the design for Void was really impressive from The Incredibles 2 with
Yeah,
the blue ring around her and everything is very true to the design, the character from the movie. It looks impressive, but yeah, like I said, not the most popular character, and then it got shared with Walmart as well. So I think a lot of people kind of,
that's a killer.
forgot
When
about
things are
that one.
shared with Walmart, it kills it for me. Like it
Yeah.
just, unless it's something I absolutely must have. Like I want Void, but once I saw it was Walmart, I'm like, dude, I'm not even gonna try. Like I've tried their shipping, it always sucks, and it's just not worth the hassle to me.
Yeah, and their releases are very odd too because they don't release necessarily alongside everybody else. A lot of times they're early, and then sometimes they are unavailable during the actual con, then they pop back up
Yeah.
sporadically. So it's tough to follow Walmart with conventions. Um, I'm not into like really collecting anime. I will say though with Dragon Ball, the Purunga, even though I don't not really familiar with it, really nice design to that
Yeah, it
one as
does look
well.
cool. I like how big it is on top.
Yeah,
Because
I was
that's a
about to
little
say the
point.
same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, the top heavy design is unique.
Yeah, it's an
So
interesting sculpt. Like they really had to like, do the math of that so that doesn't fall over. I want to say another pretty cool three pack was the hyenas from The Lion King. I think they looked good.
yeah,
And a personal favorite of mine, but just because I like the movie so much, I thought Steve Zissou was great. Even though that is very niche, right? Like it's an old movie and it wasn't like a blockbuster either. But I think that came out really good. And I think something like that for ECCC is perfect. You know what I mean? Because I would
yeah,
never do well in a wide release.
yeah, and that the same thing like with the Office Space 2 pack, that type of thing.
Yeah.
It fits well with the convention. I think it shows people as well. Sometimes Funko gets criticized for just focusing on doing the same characters over and over, but they do focus on a wide variety. I think. The classic Thor, that's another one that I
Oh
thought was
yeah,
pretty
for
dope.
sure.
That one turned out pretty well. But I mean, yeah, looking at it again, just not a whole lot that stood out. DC was okay. Um, they did have at least 3 items, and I thought the classic Black Canary was cool. Mr. Mixel Spitlick, of course, that's always tough to say, but
Yeah.
it was very nice that they did him and they did his design justice. Although I ended up getting a second one because the first one, as soon as I took it out of box, it broke off the stand. Those stands sometimes can be
Oh, for
tricky.
real? Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, still nice that they did that pop. So I mean, overall this year they've done a lot more with DC but yeah, I do agree, pretty weak convention in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, might as well jump to SDCC. Really, not too much more to say about ECCC there. With SDCC, I think gets always heavily scrutinized because it is the largest convention of the year,
Yeah.
and it didn't take long for people to start really judging it this year. And I think some of the judgments may have been fair,
I
to
think
be
so.
honest with it. Yeah, because DC, like I was just saying, DC overall for this year has been better, but not so much for this convention. I mean, to have basically 3 items in, I mean, they had 2 Batman figures, not counting, of course, the Big Bang Theory figure, but they had the teal chrome Batman. They had Batman with the SDCC bag, so that's already 2 Batman figures there. And
Hmm.
then basically lumping Kato in there as calling
Yeah.
him DC is not right.
That was bizarre.
Yeah, I mean that's
And that Kato
clearly
is weak
TV.
already, right? It's like it's already weak.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just I think that Kato was definitely filler in this con. I think the worst pop of this con was that gold Demogorgon. I mean, In
Yeah.
what world does that make sense? I'm like, why is it gold? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Pretty lazy, and it does just look like it was. I mean, it literally looks like it was just spray painted real quick. Not
Yeah.
even an interesting paint job because it really is one uniform color of gold. So yeah, it just did not look good to me. It looked very lazy.
I mean, I wish that's what they would have made, 500 pieces or 1,000 pieces. Like, make that thing 1,000 pieces or 500 pieces, and let the people that are big, whores for the really rare stuff collect that. But I don't know, really ugly.
Yeah, and usually like it's very rare that DC and Marvel are both strong. So we already know DC wasn't anything too impressive. But even with Marvel, nothing amazing. I mean, it was okay. I will say with Man Thing, I was looking forward to that one, and then when I finally got it, because it took forever to arrive, but once I finally got Man Thing, I was like, why did they make it so small? This is a
Yeah.
character that I thought should have been large, and even if they did it as a 6-inch pop in limited numbers, I think that would have been a better fit than what they actually did. So yeah, that kind of disappointed me. The Gamora was okay, but
I think what happens before you go on to Gamora, I think what happens with pops like Man Thing is that I think they get gun shy, right? Because first of all, Man Thing is not a very popular character, okay? And then 6-inch pops tend to not hold their value, right? And I'm
mhm.
not saying that's the only reason people buy them, but I do feel like a big part of why people buy them is because they want to buy something that goes up in value. So I think consumers get gun shy when it comes to buying 6-inch pops. And if it's a 6-inch pop of someone like Man Thing, I think Funko knows are like, dude, we're not going to be able to sell these. You know what I mean? It's going to be like the with that Doomsday pop that came out, that 6-inch Doomsday
Oh
that
yeah.
was at GameStop for like 2 years after it came out, right? For a convention exclusive, it's crazy. And I think even now, if you look it up, I think it's like worth $8 or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know it's tough with those. I was thinking maybe if they could have done that limited number, maybe that would have pushed it some, but I mean, I'm still happy to have it because it does look great up close. It's just in terms of scale, doesn't quite make sense because it's actually shorter than I think any of the other Marvel pops
Oh, you for
that
real?
came out
Yeah,
there.
that don't make any sense.
Yeah, I did like like I said, Gamora was cool. I don't think she's like an amazing figure, and as a matter of fact, you probably still can get her on Hot Topics website.
I
I
think
wouldn't
you
be
can.
surprised. Um, yeah, and Minerva, I thought she was cool, unexpected, and I appreciate that. Those, she's one of the Kree that was represented in the Captain Marvel movie. I
I do
appreciate her,
like the
but
paint jobs on those. The paint jobs on the Kree, that's kind of like a little bit metallic blue mixed in with the other flatter colors, I think look really nice.
oh yeah, and they look great together because it's kind of interesting now that I think about it. Because with ECCC, of course, they had Korath in his Kree colors, and then they had Minerva, with SDCC in the Kree colors, and yeah, those two along with Captain Marvel or Verse, those all together look fantastic. And then I had them along with the specialty series Ronin as well. So yeah, those Kree colors all together, those pops do look pretty amazing. So I do
Yeah.
appreciate that. But again, with Marvel and DC, nothing mind blowing there. We could definitely get into some of the other offerings because there were some legitimate, I think, Grail pieces with
Oh
this
yeah,
con.
like right
The
off the
the
bat.
up 2 pack,
Yeah, I was gonna say you read my mind. I think the strongest one of the con, I think, is Carl and Ellie of 2-pack. They look
absolutely.
absolutely great in person. I think Kang and Kodos are awesome as well. They look great. I think it's almost a tie between those two. They're two very different styles of pops. One of them is more detail oriented. The other one is like, more impressive just because, it's this great, awesome green color with domes and drool and it's a cool design. But the cuteness of Carl and Ellie puts her right there on that top tier of this con for me.
Yeah, and long term, that's going to be one of those figures where even if Funko were to go downhill in terms of popularity, if you're a Disney fan, you're going to appreciate that regardless.
Yeah.
And their designs are so on point that other than the solid black eyes, I mean they don't even like necessarily scream out as pop figures. So even if somebody's not really big into pop figures, still their sculpts are pretty impressive.
Yeah, they look absolutely great.
And I think those, along with Kang and Kodos, were probably the most difficult for people to get their hands on. Um,
Yes.
the up 2 pack, I literally never saw it online. Like it was going that fast. I never
Oh,
saw it
dude, I
listed.
was like lightning quick with it. That was the day of the con. I knew that was going to be the hardest thing to get. So that was the first place I went. Like, there was other things I really wanted, And I was like, you know what, man? I'll take my chances at GameStop tomorrow. But that up 2-pack, because last time, even just for, I think it was ECCC, the Aria pop. And Aria, I can't imagine Aria being as popular as Carl and Ellie, and they had a ton of them. The line for box lunch was like insane. Like it was an hour before it even opened, and there was already, it seemed like 100 people in line. And I was like, dude, this is too long to wait for a pop that's probably going to be $20 on eBay. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I just knew that for Carl and Ellie, I was like, dude, it's a 2-pack. They might get 50 in store, and I don't want to waste all that time. So that was the first thing I got online.
Yeah, and also with this convention, as if I had to kind of rank things as far as what was the most sought after, I think the up 2-pack and Kang and Kodos, like you said, those are very close for first. After that, though, I mean, the Dragon Ball Z ones, of course, they flew. They disappeared as well. Even when they got restocks on Hot Topics website, again, the Red Chrome Vegeta was gone instantly. The Vegeta one, the other Vegeta one, that one was gone again very quickly. The Spirit one, basically, I forget the exact name of it.
Oh, the one that looks like a little sperm.
Yeah, basically. I mean, that's immediately what I thought when I saw it.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
Yeah, and but yeah, that one gone. I mean, just it was instantly gone. So those are definitely those 4 items all together were the most highly sought after. Some of the other items are actually still available at times.
I mean, that said, though, I mean, I'm not a big Dragon Ball Z guy, so I'd be speaking out of turn. But why Chrome Red for Vegeta? Is there like do you know any significance, or is that just, must make everything Chrome?
I tell you, there's a lot of anime fans that check out my channel. I've only seen maybe one or two people that tried to justify why the red makes sense, and still didn't quite make sense to me what they were trying to say. So it seems like quite a stretch,
Okay.
But it is what it is. I mean, people go for Dragon Ball regardless. Even the same people that might complain about it when it comes down to it is that fear of missing out, so they're gonna grab that up, basically. So yeah, Dragon Ball just stays popular, especially the standard size. Yeah.
I get it. I have like the original. People think that my collection of the original mold Batman is crazy because I have like 20 or 30 of them, right? So I guess it's kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? If Vegeta is one of the most popular characters and they just love it, they just want as many as they can get.
Yeah, so and I tell people, I tell people all the time because I get the question a lot. Why does it seem like certain characters are represented every convention? I mean, because we'll see that as we continue on here. There are certain characters that are represented pretty much every time, and it's because they sell. That's really what it comes down to. They sell. But again, I give props to Funko because there was still good variety with SDCC. There were some unexpected things here, like it's kind of funny that when it comes to DC, the greatest representation for them was the Big Bang Theory pops, with them and the Justice League outfits. Those were well done. But with them being with Walmart, I know a lot of people had issues with box damage. So
that, and then I saw it. I want to say it was like a month at least after the convention. All of a sudden, there's a whole new palette of those pops in Walmart. Like no rhyme or reason to anything, right?
Yeah, and then they tend to do that.
Yeah, and then what happens is like, collectors are like, well, I'm not gonna go to damn Walmart every goddamn day to try to get these pops. So they get put out one day. Nobody really knows until somebody posts on Instagram, and maybe Walmart in Milwaukee has them, but the one in San Diego doesn't, or whatever. They tend to sit on the shelves. Pops do not last long on Walmart's shelves in mint condition. I mean, there's just too many hands involved.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Yeah, and it starts right from the unboxing. Sometimes the workers are rough with the boxes. They cut deep with those box cutters, and it just goes from there. So
and they don't care, man. They're just gonna shove them in there.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. And then that the llama that they got from Fortnite was kind of like whatever. Like they had just released the other one in the 10-inch one. So that one
definitely that's another one that I thought was extremely weak.
Yeah.
Was the llama. I get what was the difference? It glows in the dark. I mean, that's cool, I guess. But what was it? Just like the eyes that glow in the dark, something like that? I thought that was pretty weak. I may be wrong about that, but
it felt like filler. For sure, it felt like filler.
I think the Wong could have been better. Like if it wasn't for the body, I wouldn't be able to tell that's Wong. Which I guess it's kind of tricky. How much more how can you make him look more like Wong? But I thought Wong was a little bit weak. Yeah, and like I said, the Demogorgon's definitely the worst. But other than that, the other ones don't seem weak to me. They just seem
Well,
uninspired.
I gotta say though, because there's one DC one I didn't mention. It's almost because I don't want to mention it. It's because it's like, why is it here? Why do we need Cisco in plain clothes as
Yeah.
a convention exclusive? Like that definitely to me felt like it should have been another, original character that they had not done as a Funko Pop yet. I thought that was kind of odd, and I
I
can
think
understand them doing him in plain clothing, but as a convention exclusive, just odd to me.
one of my subscribers actually, I thought the same thing when I did, I want to say maybe the announcement video for SDCC. One of them mentioned that there was a significance to his plain clothes. I forget if it's either the first time you saw him, he was in that clothes, or the last time you saw him, something like that. So I was like, I guess, but still, yeah, kind of weak to me as well.
Yeah, yeah, that easily could have been part of just a flash wave, for the TV series and not necessarily for a convention. Um,
All right, so we got to mention, and we didn't mention it on ECCC, but they did it there too. When you're going to put out a line of, say, Sour Patch Kids or Otter Pops, right? And there's
yeah.
6 of them in a line. And then you're just going to sucker punch collectors by making one of them 1,000 pieces con only. And the blue one, no less, which is probably everybody's favorite color, right?
Yeah.
It's just maddening. I hate when they do that, man.
Yeah, and it was the green Sour Patch Kid
The
for
green Sour Patch
ECCC.
Kid, which makes
Yeah.
sense, I guess, for ECCC, but 1,000 pieces, come on, man. It's like people can't finish. Like Sour Patch Kids, you can kind of get away with. Okay, because I have one. I bought blue, my favorite color, for Sour Patch Kids. That's fine. I don't need every color. They all look the same, right? But the Otter Pops are all different characters, right? So now you can't have a complete set of that unless you want to go drop. I guess it's at $200 right now on eBay. It was like 500 at first, so it is dropping. But still, man, that is something that they really need to just knock off, right?
Yeah.
Stop doing that.
It seems like a bad business move because there are some people that are like, oh, they got Sour Patch Kids, I want to get all of them. And then they realize they're not going to be able to complete that set more than likely, or it's going to be very tough to do so. So then they're like, well, I'm just not going to bother it at all then, because
Exactly.
they always feel like there's that hole in their collection. And I know that some people did express that in the comments in some of my videos. So yeah, it just doesn't seem like a smart business decision to
No,
do
it's
that.
bizarre. I mean, I love the Otter Pops, man, and I contemplated not getting them. I was like, maybe I won't get the other ones until if Louis Blue goes down, I don't know, to like $100, and I look through my pops, I sell a couple, and try to get them because I'm, you know me, I like to buy things at retail. I'm not one of these guys that goes out and spends a lot of money on pops on the second market, maybe $20, maybe $25 if it's something I really want. Um, so I will try to sell some pops to get that guy and kind of justify it in my head that I didn't spend $100 on a pop, right? So I
Yeah.
contemplated not even getting the other ones until I was able to get Louis Blue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I don't
then
blame
I
you.
found the other ones for cheap. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a dumbass, not get these ones until I get Louis Blue. Then I finally get Louis Blue, and now all these other ones are $30 each. You know what I mean? I didn't want to do
Yeah.
that either.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely makes sense. Now, help me out here because I don't think I'm overlooking, but for ECCC, there wasn't a Star Wars release, was there?
Let me look. I don't think so. I think that was one of the things that
And
was bizarre,
and while
that
you're
there
double
wasn't a Star
checking,
Wars release.
yeah, while you're double checking there, I will point out for SDCC that there was the Green Chrome Boba Fett, the Green Chrome Yoda, and then they basically had the first to
Garbage.
market, the first to market Red Stormtrooper, which I don't know if you can even fully count that as a convention exclusive necessarily. It's the
Nah.
first to market pop basically, and that's going to be available more widely soon here, closer to the next movie. So, yeah, kind of odd with Star Wars for the conventions and overall this year, I would say too, because even with Star Wars Celebration, a lot of Chrome going on there.
Yeah, it's just I was kind of relieved too because I like Star Wars. I've kind of fallen off of it a little bit just because of different factors. The movie I haven't liked the last 2 movies. Um, I don't need 10 of the same character, you know. I definitely don't see the point with Chrome in Star Wars. I just don't see it.
Yeah,
Maybe if there were light blue Chrome to kind of look like the spirits, maybe, but these other ones, they don't make sense to me. It's filler. I believe the Chrome Pops feel cheap anyway. They just feel like cheap, hollow plastic. They're not vinyl, right?
Oh yeah.
They're weak.
Well, see, we've been collecting long enough to know that when this really started kicking off with the Chromes, that you remember they did the I want to say they did BB-8 as a Chrome for Hot Topic. It was Hot Topic exclusive because it was around Thanksgiving, around Black Friday time,
dome, right?
in the dome. And I really feel like the
God,
purpose of that dome was to keep you from putting your hands on that cheap material. But
They're
then it
like,
got to a
let's
point
make
where
this look expensive.
yeah, but then it got to a point where it's like, well, people are gonna buy it regardless, so why even hide it, you know?
I
But
thought that was one of the if I had to make another list about the absolute worst Funko Pops ever, that gold chrome BB-8 in that stupid ass dome would be really high up there.
yeah, and I would not blame you at all. So and I try not to be super critical of Chrome because I'm not gonna lie, you know, I did end up getting the teal Chrome Batman, which it's I don't think that that color has much to do with the character. I just that's been one of my favorite colors lately. That's the only reason why I went for it.
I'm guilty of getting him too. I'm not gonna lie. I have like the Marvel 10-year gold Chrome ones, but that kind of makes sense to me in a way, right? It's like a celebration of the 10 years. What Marvel has done is a big achievement. Like they've made characters that I didn't even like that much in the comic books. Like I wasn't a big like Black Widow fan in the comic books, right? But what they did with her on screen, I was like, I really like her. And I think that kind of makes sense to me in a way. Maybe it doesn't to a lot of people, but I think the gold chrome ones for the 10th anniversary make kind of sense.
Yeah. It feels celebratory. I understand that. Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. I take it on, I guess I would say, a chrome by chrome basis, basically.
Exactly.
You know, what they've started now, we won't get into it because that could be like a whole other video, basically. But where they're starting to do like 6 colors for the same character at once, that's like I said, maybe we'll touch on that another time because there are the Jokers on the way. But yeah, as far as getting back to SDCC, I'm kind of looking across it. I think the Moana with Pua on the boat, that was cool, but it probably should have been out. Probably should have been out earlier, though. You know, for fans to go and get their hands on that. So that one actually was a nice design, though.
And it's 3 pops, man. It's 3 pops in one, basically.
Yeah, because it does have, I forget the name of, but the rooster on there as well.
See, but I think when they do a pop ride, it should be like that. Because some of the pop rides look very cheap, and because it's just large kind of flat panels of a plastic, right? Especially some of the early ones. But this Moana one is so detailed. Like, that's kind of what a pop ride, I think, should be.
Yeah, I agree. It is one of the better looking ones. How did you feel about the vegan police from SDCC?
So, if you're a fan of the vegan police, that's awesome. I thought the vegan police was the unfunniest part of Scott Pilgrim. So I just wouldn't want to buy them no matter how good they looked. And I don't know if I'd reckon, like, the picture I'm looking at right here is all the pops outside of the box, right? And I'm not sure if I could look at those and recognize them as the vegan police right away.
Yeah,
like,
you gotta know the movie very well. And I think really mainly not Tom Jane characters, but the Clifton Gonzalez. I think he stands out more as being accurate, to Clifton the way he looked, especially with the hair. Yeah, I keep forgetting his exact name, but he I think he actually looks more accurate. But yeah, so I just didn't even bother trying to collect Scott Pilgrim because it has been so challenging because so much of it has been with the Funko shop. Although I was able to get the ECCC exclusive, and I really am happy with that one in my collection.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to because like I said, you know me, I buy, like, if there's something I like, I'm not gonna wait. I get them, like, I go, Scott Pilgrim come out, I get him at retail. Like Cowboy Bebop came out, I get it at retail. Now he's like $90. I don't wait until they're expensive. I've noticed a lot of collectors, man. They buy something, they go, oh, I want that. But then they wait until, like, they're vaulted, and then they want it more. I'm like, dude, why don't you just get it when it was at retail? If you know you're going to get it anyway. I don't get that mentality. But getting back to SDCC, I want to mention a couple that I think are underrated, that may have not sold out right away. Maybe the community isn't talking about them as much. But I think they came out really good. Like Rita Skeeter from Harry Potter, I think is a great looking pop. She has like a little bit of metallic paints in there. I think the way they did her glasses looks good. The hair sculpt looks good. I think that one is pretty good. And I also think Johnny Rico came out really good.
Yeah, and initially I wasn't going to get that one. I ended up going for it because I actually checked out, some people unboxing it, and I was like, wow, it is really well done. And even with the alien blood splatter on it, like there was some care put into it. Like there's different shades of it, different levels of it. So that's one I think down the line, especially if Funko does like a full wave of Starship Troopers and everything, some people might be like, well, maybe I should go back and try to get that one.
I feel they won't though. I feel that the Starship Troopers is going to kind of be like Tony Montana or Taxi Driver, where it's just a one-off pop and that's it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And I mean, I think the same could be said though about Asuka. I mean,
Asuka.
Yeah, Asuka. She is still available. Like she's still pretty easy to find right now.
Not in store though. I haven't seen her in store.
Yeah, but
online she's still there, which surprises me.
And say the name of the series again, because I don't want to butcher it.
Evangelion.
Yeah, that series. It does seem like they have more on the way, so we'll see how that affects this particular pop, in the near future here. But for right now, she seems kind of overlooked to an extent.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's just because Evangelion is a weird one to make pops from. I think the only reason they are making them is because it's on Netflix now. Because Evangelion for over a decade was pretty much unavailable for people to watch anywhere, like outside of Japan. Like you had to have, like I bought a DVD box set in like the mid 2000s, early 2000s, right? And that thing for a while was going for a lot because it went out of print and there was really no other way to watch it in North America, right? Or pretty much anywhere in the world, right? So it's something that a lot of people, anime fans, have never watched. And even the Netflix series changes the voices, some of the lines, the outro. It's not even a pure form of it. So I have a feeling it's a combination of people just not being familiar with Evangelion and Evangelion fans not knowing that there's an Asuka pop. You know what I mean? Unless they're already pop collectors. And maybe they're not. Especially because, you can't expect everybody that likes everything to be into Funko Pops or everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see like where that franchise goes along with Funko, and maybe that, like I said, will affect this first pop. But you were mentioning, pops that you appreciated. One, I didn't think I would have him to my collection, but the more and more I looked at the design, I was like, I like this design. I want to see more pops done in this style. Is actually Sabrina the Teenage Witch, because it's so true to that like comic strip style. I just really appreciate that, and I could see Funko doing a lot more with that. So I went ahead and copped that one, and it's purely appreciating the design because I really don't follow that character, whether it's the comics or the TV series. But yeah, it's just a design thing. Before we do move on to New York Comic Con, I gotta say, I think one of the sad things about this convention is I know a lot of people were hyped about Ratfink, and then Toy Tokyo really botched their releases this year badly.
The worst.
There are so many people that got damaged pops. And it was just a confusing release altogether. Yeah, it was just really a really poor release, and it's a shame because initially people were pretty hyped about Ratfink. That's one that some people have been waiting on, and they just blew it this time.
Yeah, I ended up getting the bundle. Luckily, I got the glow in the dark Ratfink, which is the one I wanted, and it wasn't damaged. The Pez wasn't damaged, and Ultraman wasn't damaged. Kato was, but Kato was the one I almost didn't care. I was like, Kato's in there just because I have to get him. I don't really care. I'll end up giving that away to somebody, or I don't know. But my Kato was mangled. And then I saw a couple people mention that the way my Kato was mangled was in the exact same way it was mangled in their boxes. So I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, they had to have been damaged before. It's almost like they had a pallet of them and like they dropped it, right? And all these boxes got mangled in the exact same way.
Yeah, and they're going to sell them regardless.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, even though this wasn't one of their first reveals, and I really want to get into New York Comic Con, we got to go ahead and address, like, why is there already another Green Hornet and Kato 2-pack?
I don't know, dude.
That's so odd. And you notice this time they didn't treat them like, as if they're DC. And I do realize that these characters have been in DC Comics, and everything, but I really look at them as TV characters. But yeah, it's so odd for them to take up some space with another 2-pack there. I actually do think it is a better looking 2-pack, so fine with that. But I think that those original ones they put out should have just stayed as commons mainly, and not do that two pack, excuse me, for the convention. And then this 2-pack would have made more sense to me. But they made this kind of odd.
Just wait a year, wait 2 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't get. To me, that's definite filler. I also want to mention before we start talking about NYCC. So NYCC is definitely not as big as SDCC. But what do you notice about NYCC compared to SDCC this year?
I would say, well, I'm looking at the list right now. It's to me been way more impressive, way more focused. And I think
There's
as
more
well,
pops too,
it's
man.
it's expanding. It really is expanding.
bigger.
NYCC did not used to have nearly as much as this because I'm going back and forth and I am seeing, it's definitely a lot more going on, and it just looks, really like it looks so focused.
Yeah, if you count the pops, I want to say, like, I'm willing to say that there are more pops released for NYCC this year than there
which
are for SDCC.
And I wonder if this is something to do with like behind the scenes and the production and how long it takes. From start to finish, I've heard it could take anywhere from like around 9 months or so, 6 to 9 months sometimes to actually
I've
get a
heard
pop
6.
produced. Yeah, so it takes a while. So maybe there are some of these that were probably going to be somewhere else, and now they're with NYCC, and it just makes NYCC look pretty epic.
That makes sense. Like, I could see like this cabbage man or whatever he is from Avatar.
Yeah,
That looks like it's an ECC pop. Piccolo looks like he's an ECC pop.
yeah.
This green monkey Pez guy looks like he could be an ECC pop. So maybe they weren't done in time. They couldn't secure the licenses. They moved over. I mean, even look at the Wrecking Ball from Overwatch. He's green.
Yeah.
He could have been an ECC pop. You never know.
Yeah, so it's possible that some things got moved around, but it all just worked out to make this a really awesome looking convention. I think the Marvel wave is pretty amazing. I want I'd say half of those figures at
Nick
least.
Fury for sure, man. Nick Fury.
Yeah. That classic Nick Fury that's an easy buy there. I really like the shading on the Phoenix, but I think you talked about it on your channel, that T-shirt. I don't think either one of us is a fan of it because the way they did the face on it.
Yeah,
I wish it was just a standalone pop, to be honest.
It's like somebody hit Dark Phoenix in the face with a frying pan, man. It is just
it's poorly done. The Iron Man, I know how some people feel about it. They kind of want to compare it to the way that Captain America was done initially with Thor's hammer, where it's not exactly movie accurate. I'm still fine with it though. I still think it's a great homage, to the character.
I'm definitely gonna get it.
But one with him more dirtied up and holding his arm up, like he's about to do the snap. That would be more movie accurate for sure.
I bet you it's coming too, because like remember when we first saw that Captain America with Thor's hammer? One of the first things I said to you, I'm like, dude, they're definitely gonna make that pop again.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
There's just a double dip, dude. Like I knew it, and of course, what they made the new one is exactly how they should have done the first one.
Yeah,
that's
and now thanks to that,
I don't like. Like I almost feel like maybe I shouldn't buy that Tony Stark because, like, stop double dipping because and the reason to do it is because we keep buying them, right?
Yeah.
So, but then I go like what you say, FOMO, fear of missing out. Like, I don't want to not buy Tony Stark, one of my favorite characters of all time, in a very cool looking pop. And I like when they do them without the mask, wearing the armor. And I don't want to not buy it because I'm sitting here like taking a stand against this shit. And then later it's $100 and, I missed out.
Well, my the Captain America I have currently, the one that was the collector core one, it'll probably get switched out with that common for me. I know some people might keep both, but I don't really focus on value so much. Like if I have to switch out for something that I feel is a better representation, then I'm gonna do that. That's just the way that I approach it. But I could see keeping that Iron Man there regardless. The other ones they're okay. Not really sure if I would go for them necessarily, but overall, I gotta say they did put some really good thought into Marvel. Oh, well, I gotta say, I absolutely do have to get Stan Lee. I'm looking at Stan Lee now. Stan Lee in the spacesuit is, I haven't been big about some of the other cameo ones, but this one is a must for me because I really love that cameo. That is one of my favorite cameos of his, from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah, with the Watchers.
Yeah, so, and because he is with the Watchers and what that does imply, because there's been this theory about him being connected to the Watchers even before they did that scene. This was something that was like theorized about the MCU. So I love that they did that. It's great fan service. So that's definitely one I'm going to add into my collection. But, like I said, things are never balanced between Marvel and DC. So with DC, we get the purple chrome Batman, which is con only. Going to be almost impossible to get. I'm not even going to worry about it.
See, and that's
But
that's one of the few times where like something like that, 1,500 pieces, I feel like that's a little bit more appropriate to make that 1,500 pieces
yeah, the
than
number
say
is
like
solid. Yeah,
Winona Earp. What was it? Was it for ECC or SDCC?
that one
They
was
made
SDCC. Yeah.
Winona Earp 500 pieces. I mean, come on, dude. Like, I'm not even a big fan of that, but I know people love that show. It's almost got a cult following. And to screw them over like that is just come
Yeah.
on.
Well, we won't get too much into the history because it might get some older collectors heated. And when I say older, I'm talking about, in terms of collecting, how long they've been collecting. But if you go back NYCC a couple of years ago, that 500 piece Qui-Gon, boy.
Oh, dude, yeah, don't get me started.
yeah, that hurt some feelings. But so yeah, I agree that with the purple chrome Batman, the number is more appropriate, but it's going to be very difficult to get. So I'm not going to stress that one. Huntress, I will say, looks really cool. She's very accurate to her character, but it would be so nice to have at least one more original DC character, character that hasn't had shine before as a pop figure here. So it definitely feels lacking in terms of DC. But
and I think the Huntress, I think it would have been cooler if she was a little bit more in an action pose too.
Yeah, I can agree with that. If she at least had her arm up like she was aiming her crossbow, but yeah, the costume though is pretty accurate to the character, and who knows. I mean, it's very unlikely. Maybe they would do another one of her if she's popular enough. Like, well, I think we'll get a movie version of her, but that's not going to nearly look like the comic version.
Oh yeah, I mean those they're unrecognizable.
Yeah,
Birds of Prey. I mean, gun to my head with those in front of me, going, "What comic book character is this?" I'd be like, "I have no idea."
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be tough, but yeah. Even though DC is lacking, it's balanced out by so many other pops from different genres going on here, different properties that are pretty impressive. As far as like the number one standouts to me, I don't follow My Hero Academia. I watched the first season of it and then I kind of fell off from it, mainly because it's not easy to stream on Hulu. Like it'd be nice if Hulu let you skip past the intro and outro real easy, you can keep it moving.
Yeah,
because I got so sick of hearing those songs, to be honest. I was enjoying the series, but I just did not like the songs, and it's not easy to stream there. But Dobby and Stain, those designs are really impressive.
Yeah,
I think
that's
the most impressive for New York Comic Con. And like I said, I'm not even big on anime, but those look really epic. I kind of wonder how now, we talked about Carl and Ellie, how amazing they were, but the Up house, that price tag, that's going to be interesting to see how much that
How
moves.
much is it? $50?
$50, yeah.
Yeah, dude, get out of here with that. Get out of here.
Yeah,
and
so
it's so out of scale. It's just, I mean, I could see if you're trying to do like, if you have a display, right? First of all, you have to have the space, right? Yeah. But if you're trying to do like maybe some kind of forced perspective thing where you put the house kind of behind your pops, up on top of something maybe, and then you have your other pops up in front, I could see that. But I am just completely not sold on these Pop Town houses. I'm
not either. I haven't picked up any of them yet. I don't even know how they're going to pull off some of these, in the future, but I haven't seen one that I felt like I gotta pick that up right now. I kind of looked at the SpongeBob one, but then the pop is almost as big. Yeah, the pop is almost as big as his house, but it kind of fits because in the series sometimes they do some weird things with the scale, So
yeah, that one kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Some of these other ones don't, and I just feel like for something that big, it's kind of like the same problem that some of the pop rides have. Very big, but very plain looking. It looks like, it doesn't look like a collectible. It looks like a toy.
That's typically an issue with Funko. That's even with like the movie moments. I'm not big on those because they end up looking so plain. Like it's not very much detail to them. The main thing that's hurting feelings for this convention, way more than the Purple Chrome Batman, is really that Mickey pop ride. That's the one where Disney fans are not feeling that, being convention only and limited in number, which is just 1,000 pieces. Yeah,
1,500.
Maybe it was updated. I can't really see the number, it's so small.
Either way, it's still very little.
But
that
very
is
limited.
Great looking pop. I love that it's got the logo for the Matterhorn on the front there. Looks really nice.
And the way they have the track beneath it with the snow, like they put some thought into it.
And it's not gigantic. Like the base is kind of appropriate for the size of it. If it would have put like a big old piece of the mountain, then it starts to get like, dude, too big, not enough detail. But the way they did this one actually looks very good to me.
Yeah. So I'm looking at some of the other standouts here. Got to mention Vampire Burns and also what's the other guy's Groundskeeper Willie.
Groundskeeper Willie. To me, those are two of my favorite ones from this con.
Yeah.
And like, I'm glad Groundskeeper Willie is a Hot Topic. FYE is a little bit trickier for me, but I'm definitely need to get that. I think the Treehouse of Horror Pops are one of the best series of the year so far.
Yeah,
they're really knocking out of the park with those.
Yeah, absolutely. They're definitely in the running for best series of the year.
But what I think the pops of this con, the ones that are going to be similar to Kang and Kodos, are going to be that Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can see that moving.
Look fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that a lot of people been saying they wanted. So I'll tell you what though, I'm realizing, and we don't have all the shared locations yet, or at least not confirmed shared locations, because there's the rumors. But it's going to be very tricky for people that like to shop in stores. Where do you go first? This is going to be tough. It's really going to be tough.
For me, it's governed by who opens first. Like usually in my neck of the woods, I have access to Box Lunch, Barnes & Noble, GameStop, Hot Topic. And I don't bother with Walmart. Have you ever been in Walmart on a con day and try to ask the employees, dude?
That's pointless.
When I was trying to get Michigan J Frog, and I was asking one of the employees, dude, she was just like, a Funko what? And then sending me, so maybe in the garden section, like they had no idea.
Yeah, I had somebody at Walmart sometime try to send me to the craft section. Like it's just they
leave me alone.
and you can't blame them, because there's so much in Walmart, and not everybody's a Funko collector. But yeah, it's kind of a waste of time sometimes to ask employees about those. There, for the most part, I don't think there's a whole lot of filler in this con. There's a lot of things that stand out here. The Edgar Allan Poe is a little bit odd, because him with the Raven is definitely the better option. And that one's going to be available. So that's a little odd.
I feel that's going to be at BAM for a while. That's going to be definitely a shelf warmer, I think.
Yeah, I think it's odd too, and I know they have nothing to do with each other, and maybe you'll feel differently about this, but okay, I like that they're doing Marty McFly in the hazmat suit. But then they have that character from 2001, A Space Odyssey, and like I said, I know they have nothing to do with each other. It's just kind of odd to see them on the list together, because they both have these yellow suits on with the helmets.
Yeah, they're really similar. And I'm not a big Back to the Future fan, so I completely forgot until some of my subscribers reminded me. They're like, dude, that's when he was like pretending to be Darth Vader or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, I think I vaguely remember that.
I'll say this though, because there is that other Marty McFly coming out with him in that colorful cowboy outfit from Back to the Future Part 3. That's going to be a Hot Topic exclusive. Maybe it's better that one is the Hot Topic exclusive, outside of the con, because I think that one will be a lot more popular, because his face isn't covered, and that it's just such a ridiculous outfit. If you like that movie, then that you probably would be into that one more so. But yeah, I'm trying to look at what else is going on here. Blunt Man and Chronic, that's overdue.
Those look good. I didn't like that movie too much. I rather preferred. You know what I would have liked? Is a Jay and Silent Bob black and white Clerks 2-pack. I think that would have been.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
really,
that
really
is
awesome.
A good idea. Yeah,
like that I would get in a heartbeat. This,
and I'm not gonna say his name, but a lot of people would love to see Mark Hamill's character as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say
it. People would love to see that though. I think one nice surprise here is and I'm not gonna get it, but a nice surprise though is Hello Kitty as Statue of Liberty. That is pretty cute.
I can see that doing well. That, man. I like it. I like that it's the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, and that one I know is possibly, and I don't want to get too much into release locations, because these things are subject to change, but that could possibly be along a Target with that Dark Voyager glow in the dark, which makes sense. That does kind of feel like filler to an extent, but if you're going to do a glow in the dark Fortnite pop, I guess that one does make sense, but
I'm not terribly familiar with Fortnite, but that one seems like it's the same thing as the Loot Llama kind of thing. They just took the comic pop, made it glow in the dark.
It's easy, pretty much. Surprisingly, and I did not see this coming. I was hoping it would happen, and I definitely didn't see it coming as a con exclusive. Definitely not for NYCC, but Slim, the Killer Clown, from based on Killer Clowns from Outer Space. that one, as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's at the top of my list now. And really, it still is at this point. I definitely want to get that in my collection because it's horror related. It's kind of an underground classic type movie. So yeah, that's still at the top of my list personally.
You know what I wish they would have done with Slim? Is he the one that does the shadow puppets?
It's been so long. I really need to watch the movie again. I
Because I
think they
think
got
he
it
might
on
be, man. They
Prime.
totally
Yeah.
should have had him like making a bunny or something with his hands.
Yeah, I gotta watch the movie again, and because I really want to see what else they might possibly do. But even if he's just a one-off, I'm grateful for it because I did not think it was gonna happen. So I'm really glad to see that, and I think it probably did happen because of, like I said, that movie has a cult following. So I'm pretty sure there's been people like tweeting at Funko and talking about it on their live streams and whatnot, saying they'd like to see that. So any more representation for horror, I'm down with that because it so rarely happens, especially with conventions. Like it rarely happens with conventions that there's any horror represented at all.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind them updating some of the older ones, like the original, like Freddy. I think he's due for a nice, good, modern-looking Pop remake of him. I mean, his Pop looks very, very dated, and they could just do so much better with that one.
Yeah, it could happen. There is that updated Michael Myers about to drop at Hot Topic.
Way better. Yeah.
So could happen with Freddy too. We'll see what happens with the others, and maybe we'll finally get Jason X. But we'll see what happens with that. What other standouts are there for you with this con?
Okay, so maybe not most popular, but personal favorites here. Keith Haring, definitely love that trend of Funko finally making some real world artists.
Yeah.
Jean-Michel Basquiat and Keith Haring, really awesome. Basquiat, not a big fan of his art. I think the Pop looks great. It looks just like him. But Keith Haring, I am a big fan of his art, and he's one I definitely want to get. Except for I think in the releases, it didn't say, most of them had either limited or nothing on them, right? And then the nothing, I was guessing, probably going to be numbered. But what's the rumor now that he might be Barnes & Noble, Keith Haring?
Yeah. That's what he's rumored for.
That's great news to me. I'm just like, shit, that's great. That means they're going to make a lot of them. Not going to be expensive. I can imagine that the box art on him is going to be fabulous. So that's one that personally I really want. I really want the Baseball Fury, Toy Tokyo. I'm definitely not getting a bundle with whatever the hell those two little gremlins are, and whatever that witch is.
You're talking about the three from HR Stuff and Puff.
Yeah, it's just
HR Puff and Stuff. I said it backwards. HR Puff and Stuff. Yeah.
That is, get out of here.
Now, if they do a bundle this time, that would be kind of ridiculous to kind of force people that are not fans of that series to, try to force 3 pops on them from the same series. That would be ridiculous. And then some people are not big on what's the artist name that the
Ron English.
Funkos? Yeah, some people are not a fan of that art either, because I did watch a little bit of Funko's live stream where they unboxed that, and there were a lot of people like, "What is that?" Like,
I am familiar with his art. Like, and it is kind of cool. Like when he puts that face on Mickey Mouse, and some of his I think it's Ron English that will do like, it's like a fat Ronald McDonald, and all that. I do like his art. It's kind of like a commentary. The skull thing, I don't know if it's supposed to represent like a creepiness lying underneath these companies. I don't know. I feel like that's what it does represent. So it's funny that Funko's actually officially putting it out and not Ron English, right? Yeah. Or Kidrobot. But that one I wouldn't mind. I'm not a big Freddy Funko collector. The non-pop ones, whatever they call the actual round-headed Freddy Funkos. That one I wouldn't mind. Like, if it was Baseball Fury, that Ron English Freddy, and maybe one other random pop, I'd go for the bundle. But 3 HR Puff and Stuff pops, which frankly I think they're ugly. I don't even like the design of them. It's gonna be a definite pass for me.
Yeah,
even though I think that Baseball Fury.
I think it would be smart for Toy Tokyo this time to not do the bundle, just to sell these individually. I think they'd actually have more sales that way. But that's my opinion on that. One of my other standouts is Dwight with his bobblehead, because I said it before in the video. That's just something that makes me smile. And I could see walking past that, in my collection and smiling again, because it's just a really cool moment from the series. If you're a fan of The Office, I think that's an easy pickup. And I haven't been buying the other Office Pops just because, I think when it comes to, just regular human characters, they don't always stand out necessarily, especially outside of the box. But yeah, like I said, that one for me is
it's smart to wait on those. because they're definitely going to come out with a lot of them. It's one of the same things I did with the Pennywise, like these new ones that came out. There were some ones that I really liked, but I'm like, no, dude, I'm going to wait because I know there's 1,000,001 Pennywise coming out, and I'm just going to cherry pick the one I really, really like. Dwight, same thing. And unlike some of the other Office Pops that have something, the variants, the bobblehead in the Office actually wasn't just one little quick scene. The bobblehead actually featured in several different episodes, right?
Yeah, and it was on his desk for a while, so
yeah, so
you could see
it. That to me is actually when they actually get a variant con exclusive right. There's already a lot of Dwights, but they didn't stick like a really boring Dwight. Like instead of Dwight just standing, we're gonna have Dwight with his hand on his hip, and that'd be like the exclusive, something dumb like that, right? They actually made the best one. Probably they saved the best one for the con.
Yeah, I think the only other pop, I think I mentioned most of the ones that really stand out to me here. I will say quickly, even though I don't think I'll pick it up. It's cool that they did Daria. That's interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're a big fan of especially MTV back in the day, maybe that gets you hopeful that they'll do Beavis and Butthead again. I don't know if they still have the rights to do so. It seems like they would if they're doing Daria, but who knows?
So what about Downtown? Remember Downtown? Do you ever watch that? I think that was only on for like one season, but I used to remember. I loved Downtown.
I vaguely remember it, very vaguely.
I bet you if I watch it nowadays, I mean, as a teenager, I thought it was great, but if I watch it nowadays, I'm probably like, this is horrible. But I think those will look good as pops.
Yeah. The Babe Ruth here, I think, is better, than the common one. So that if you're a big fan of baseball, I think that Babe Ruth is easy to pick up. Not for me necessarily, but I just want to shout that one out real quick. The Freddy Funko, I'm like you. I was into Freddy Funko for a while, then I kind of lost interest. But it's nice that this is NYCC, and I get why they're doing a police officer, NYPD. Of course, they're not putting that directly on the pop, but we know that's kind of an homage to the NYPD. So it's cool with these cons all together. That's one common thing you see when you look back across these cons is that Funko really tries to do something to represent the convention itself and that area itself. Because
that's why I like the Surfer Freddy. The Surfer Freddy in San Diego makes sense. Statue of Liberty Freddy makes sense. This one makes sense. And also the Freddy with the fish.
Exactly.
Seattle.
I was about to say that. Yeah. And then also with SDCC, the fact that they had the Big Bang Theory cast dressed up as the Justice League, not really, tied to the con, but it's just like that type of vibe, cosplay. That made sense. And then Batman with the bag. Yeah, Batman with the SDCC bag. So Funko really does. They do put thoughts into these cons. I think there's always going to be a little bit of filler to them. It just happens. And there's always going to be those gems as well. But yeah, looking back at all three, and I'm kind of flipping in between them here on my laptop. Yeah, NYCC is pretty solid.
Yeah, if I had to rank them, I'd say NYCC, SDCC, last ECCC.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. Now, if we were comparing previous years, it gets a lot more complex, but we're just focusing on this year right now, and I can agree with that ranking. So I'm looking forward to it. I know some people stress around convention time, but me, I'm just looking forward to it because I think, both of us, we've been collecting long enough to know that even if you don't get some things that first night or that first day, some of these things will be around and some of them will restock, so it's really nothing to stress about. It should be a fun time for collectors. I'm still waiting to see what the Rick and Morty characters actually are because they did that mysterious thing again.
You know why I think that's so stupid? It's like, so the fourth season isn't out yet, right?
Yeah.
So they go, oh, well, spoilers. I'm like, yeah, but the season is still not going to be out before the con.
Exactly. Because
so what is the point?
I have Gluty in my collection. I still have not seen Gluty in the series yet. Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
It's
so
like, what?
It's weird. I don't understand that either. It's so weird.
It could be some kind of marketing thing they're trying to do. Going like, oh, maybe people will talk about it more, because it's mysterious instead of just overlooking. I don't know.
And Rick and Morty does like the creators, they really do like to tease things out. They've done that plenty of times in the past. So maybe that they're just going off of that vibe. Who knows? But it's awkward, but I'll just wait and see exactly what they are. They obviously look like they're related characters. You could tell that from the silhouettes, but we'll see what happens with that. But I really don't consider the reveals done until they actually show what those figures are. I don't know if they'll have anything else, but I don't.
They might have a random thing here or there.
Yeah, if they drop something else random, what's missing again. Like I said, it's been a weak year kind of for Star Wars, so.
That's right. Yeah, now that you mentioned, there is no Star Wars.
But then again, the movie's about to come out. So,
yeah.
oh my goodness, like Star Wars fans better be saving money already. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
Like,
I feel like they're getting fatigued, man. Like, I
yeah,
know I am. I'm looking at some of my Star Wars pops, and I'm like,
and
like,
it, yeah,
yeah, they're
and
just
the
too
performance of the
repetitive.
last two movies doesn't, well, not performance, quality. Let me say the quality of the last at least two movies doesn't
Hmm.
help with that
No,
fatigue.
and this
So
new one doesn't have me very excited either. There's some cool elements, but I have a feeling, man, that when they put out, Darth Ray, I was like,
mm,
dude, that is cheap. That's not gonna happen.
yeah.
If they do, it would be great, and I'll eat crow, but highly doubt it.
It's
Very,
gonna
very
be
cheap
damage
movie.
control the movie. That's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be
Yeah,
damage
it's
control
just
the movie. It's basically trying to fix the mistakes of the last one more than truly wrapping up this saga,
yeah,
which
it's just weird.
which is odd anyway for a saga to wrap up focusing on characters that are newer. It feels a little weird to me. Um, but have you I think we said a lot about the cons. Hopefully, people will share their own thoughts about it in the comments, how they feel about these conventions and rank them as well. We definitely would like to see your
Yeah,
personal
definitely.
rankings for the
Or even,
conventions.
or what are your favorites from each one, and how does that balance it out? Because I know that from SDCC and NYCC, or SDCC and ECCC, there are a couple pops in there that I definitely like more than anything from NYCC. Like, I just think as a whole, right? It's like NYCC has a lot of 8 to 9s, where the other two had a couple of 10s, but also a lot of 3s and 4s. You know what I mean? If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, I totally
Because
understand that.
I mean,
Absolutely.
looking around the New York Comic Con, looking at all these pops, when it comes to like filler, I'm like, dude, I don't see much filler here. Like, I really don't. Even the ones that I'm not too excited about, like this firefighter, you know, Duck, Donald Duck, I can see how Disney fans would like that. I mean, I don't personally like it, but it doesn't seem like filler to me. Missandei looks a little boring, but she's an original character. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
you hit on something that's important here. I think is really something good to say, towards the end of this first episode here, is that people have to realize that even though you might really dislike some of the things that Funko decided to include, there's somebody out there on the edge of their seat ready to get it. You know,
Oh yeah.
even ones that we think might be duds, there are some people that are like, I'm getting that, especially when you think about completionists. There are some people that jumped on that gold Demogorgon and we gave it so much crap, but
Hmm.
there were some people that jumped on it because they have that completionist mindset. Even if they can't get those super rare fun days ones, they're going to get what is available and that still feels complete to them. So it's just something you got to keep in mind. It really comes down to personal taste. There is no way for Funko to completely satisfy everybody with any given convention.
No, and the whole point isn't for them to make 80 pops that you're gonna buy all of them. I mean, it's insane. That's insanity.
Yeah,
Like,
because
you can't
if
like
they did
everything.
everything that you wanted at once, you wouldn't be able to buy it anyway, and you'd be stressed over that. So
Yeah,
it's good that things get spaced out. That's what keeps you interested as a collector. That's what keeps collecting going.
yeah.
So
It's like a
that's
bookstore
important to hit
or
on.
a video store. You're not gonna like every book. You're not gonna like every movie. There's a
Yeah,
reason that there's a romance novel section and a mystery section, and it's not. You don't have to get everything
yeah, absolutely.
or even
So
like everything. Yeah.
now, I do want to say one thing before we wrap up here. Like, I've been picking up a lot of Pennywise pops recently. It's kind of ironic that there's so many Pennywise that have been out lately, and then for NYCC we get a killer clown. I just find that kind of funny. And like I
Yeah.
said, I'm
Right.
looking forward to picking up Slim. But even just today, I did get well, not today, but I did have a Pennywise come in from the Funko shop. Which I think you already shared that one, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. I just
Yeah,
shared in my
so
last video.
yeah, so I'll be
It looks
sharing that
good.
as well. And then I did get the Hot Topic one with the Pennywise box as well. So yeah, I've been still focusing on, adding to my Pennywise collection and really not seeing a whole lot else out in the wild that I've been interested in. But since I did see it chapter 2, that was on my mind, still underwhelmed by that movie, but it hasn't really, and for a moment it almost made me feel like, am I really going to keep collecting Pennywise? But I gave it a couple days and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna let how I feel about the movie influence that.
I think they're gonna come out with like a super cut of it, probably on DVD or Blu-ray, where they're gonna put both of the movies together and maybe add some scenes here and there to tie them a little bit together better. Because I mean, of course, like the story with the children is more interesting than them as adults. Um, I think it's just inherently the first one's always going to be better than the second one. I
Yeah.
enjoyed the second one, where I think the first one's like a 9 out of 10. I think the second one's more like a 7 out of 10. It seemed a little long. Um, some of the CGI seemed very bad. Kind of took me out of the scare just because it was awful. Like the Paul Bunyan, that was awful.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was really
And
bad.
it was trying so hard to sort of imitate the projector scene, and it just didn't hit on that level. It
No.
really didn't. And I mentioned this in my review of it that way too much meta jokes and breaking the fourth wall, that type
Hmm.
of stuff that really completely took me out of the movie. Like when I literally rolled my eyes when there was the "Here's Johnny" moment. I was like, wow. Like during
Yeah.
a scene that was actually getting intense, they
Yeah.
just completely undercut all the tension with that. And I will say, hopefully anybody that's still with us right now has seen the movie by this point. It's been out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But I still like Pennywise as a character. Like I said, I still like really appreciate the pops, but I would not put him on the level with Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees. I just feel like you can't do that because you have a villain that got beaten by insults. So, and not even good
Yeah.
insults. We could come up with way better insults.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard to respect the character in that fashion, but I
Yeah.
still
It's like
give
what
props
adult
to the
talks like
actor.
that, you know?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, they might as well have been calling him a duty head. It's
Yeah.
just ridiculous. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just really, really silly. So, but I still like, Bill Skarsgård in that performance.
Oh,
He did
he's
an
great.
amazing
Like if
job.
they give
Yeah,
him a Best Supporting Actor nomination, I wouldn't be upset with that. I'm like, no, dude, he does a really good job with it. Like the physicality of it, his facial mannerisms. And I've seen actual video of the actual actor. He
yeah,
can kind of make his eye look cockeyed like that. He really
yeah,
can do
yeah.
that, which is really creepy.
Yeah, he's a creepy dude. Because he did the
Yeah.
Castle Rock series on Hulu too. Like he's good at that. And but I'll say this, I don't want to get us too far off track, and we're almost starting another episode, but we won't do that though. But when the Academy did not give Toni Collette even a nomination for
Uh,
Hereditary, I was like, okay, yeah, they really don't respect horror. So
or they're
yeah,
just
that
out of
is what it
touch,
is.
man. Like, cause I think one of my favorite movies of the year has been Midsummer, and I forget her first name. Her last name is Pugh. It's like Pugh. I
Mm,
think she was fantastic in that. And like when you have to scream, it has to be convincing, right? Like some people just
yeah.
scream. There was so much emotion in her screams, or just the quiet moments where, like her facial takes when she's gonna start crying and stuff like that. That is incredibly hard to do. And I feel like, yeah, if they're not gonna nominate Toni Collette, they're not gonna nominate Pugh. And I feel like she deserves it. She
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah, I tell you what, when once I get around to seeing that movie, we'll definitely have to come back and talk about that, come back together, talk about it, and Undone as well. I want to give that more time for people to check out that series if they
Mhm.
have Amazon Prime. At this point, we both have checked it out, but yeah, y'all, if you've not seen Undone on Amazon Prime, that is a really great show to
Yeah,
check
highly
out, to binge
recommended.
watch. Very easy to binge watch in just like a one sitting too. Like I went straight through it because they're
Well, it's
like
only 4 hours
half-hour.
total, right?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's
it's
four
like
hours.
half-hour
Yeah.
episodes, 8 episodes. You can knock that out really quick, and I think you'll want to. I would say, don't judge it based off of just the first episode because the second episode is where it really gets going.
Yeah.
But it kind of puts me in the mind of Russian Doll, which was another great binge watch
Hmm.
for me this year, where once it got going, I was totally into it. So yeah, but that
I think Russian Doll to me, the ending didn't satisfy me as much. And I hear they're trying to make a second one, which I really think they should just leave it alone. Um,
I agree on that. Yeah,
but I think Undone is fabulous. And it's also, you have to, it's rotoscoped. If you don't like rotoscope animation, that might be hard to get through, but it's some of the most realistic rotoscoping I've seen. Like it's not as out there as like some of the Ralph Bakshi stuff, like the Lord of the Rings cartoons and Fire and Ice, or like, and it's not as colorful as like Waking Life or A Scanner Darkly, but it's still rotoscoped. But they tend to keep it a little bit more grounded with the color palette and the
yeah.
backgrounds.
And I think you adjust to it after a while. Like it took me a little bit to adjust to seeing it, but and I don't want to give away what happens in the series, but once the series really gets going, you see why they went with that art style. It allows them to do so much.
Yeah, it
So
makes sense. Like if
I
it were live
understand it.
action, the budget would be out of this world. Like budget
Yeah,
would be millions of dollars, like
yeah,
10 million an episode.
yeah. It would be insane. But yeah, I'm gonna be looking and seeing what else I could find to check out. As a matter of fact, that's probably what I'm about to do. Go and see what else I could check out. But that's something we'll definitely come back on, and talk about what else we've been checking out. Hopefully you all will take some of our suggestions, check out some of the things that we're interested in, so we could talk about that down in the comments. And also, you all, in addition to what Collecting Plastic said, you all ranking the cons and letting us know what convention exclusives have stood out to you this year. Also, throw us any questions that you have, and we'll, in the future, we look forward to actually addressing some of those questions in future episodes of the podcast. And I will say as well, if you enjoyed the podcast, of course, if you're not already subscribed to our channels, make sure that you are subscribed to our channels and share the podcast, spread it around. This is something that we plan on keeping going. So yeah, just show that support to it. And we definitely look forward to doing a lot of things with this. Anything you want to add on there?
No, man, that was perfect. Yeah, shoot us some questions in. You might be featured. This was really fun to do. Hopefully you guys liked it and had a good time.
All right, you all take care. We'll talk to you all again real soon.
Peace.